In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the best players that went undrafted in this year's NFL draft, and the player that I'm talking about is Holy Cross wide receiver Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker was undrafted in this year's NFL draft, and he signed with the Carolina Panthers as an undrafted free agent, and the Panthers are getting a hidden gem in wide receiver Jalen Coker. This past season for Holy Cross, he had 59 receptions, 1,035 receiving yards, and 15 receiving touchdowns. He averaged 17.5 yards per reception. In the 11 games that Coker played this season, he had a receiving touchdown in 10 of those 11 games. I'm really surprised Coker went undrafted. He was one of the most underrated wide receiver prospects, and honestly, he was one of the most underrated prospects in general in this year's draft. This past season, Coker had monster performances, like having 124 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in one game. He had 136 receiving yards, and he also had a game where he had 176 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns as well. One knock on Jalen Coker compared to some of these other draft prospects is him playing such a small school. He's not really had a chance to play against some of these bigger schools, but the limited time he's played against FBS competition, he's played pretty decent. Holy Cross played Boston College this season. He had 5 receptions for 53 yards, and they also played Army this season where he had 7 receptions and 54 yards with 1 touchdown. During the 2022 season, Holy Cross's only FBS opponent was Buffalo, and Coker had a monster game. He had 4 receptions for 147 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Coker was also invited to the NFL Combine. There were some drills he did really good and other drills not so much. He was first among all wide receivers in the vertical. He had a 42.5 vertical. He was 4th in the 10-yard split, but the one thing that really hurt Coker's momentum in the NFL Draft Combine was his 40-yard dash. There were 30 wide receivers invited to the NFL Combine, and he ran a 4.57. That was 28th out of 30 receivers invited to the Combine. 40-yard dash probably hurt his draft stock a little bit there, but I still think a team should have picked him up towards the end of the 6th or 7th round. He's definitely capable of making a 53-man roster, and I could definitely see Jalen Coker going as an undrafted free agent to making this 53-man roster for the Carolina Panthers. And I would not be surprised if Coker maybe he even had a little bit of an impact for this Panthers offense this season. But the Panthers are getting a hidden gem in wide receiver Jalen Coker. That about does it for this video. If you're new to my channel or have seen videos before, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all next time on the Sports Dude Hines Show.